Check. Check 1, 2. All right. What is happening? It's a little chilly out here. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I seriously appreciate you tuning in today. We have my 1991 Mazda Miata and my 2006 Nissan 350z, and this is episode 3 of my 3 or 4 episode series where we're going to be talking about how these cars drive and how they are to live with and own. I obviously could not decide, so I purchased both of these cars over the last 4 years. They're completely different in many different ways, but they're about the same in price bracket right now, as well as overall just enthusiast cars. These are 2 cars you're definitely going to be looking at online. So in the first video, we kind of did an overview. In the second video, we kind of did interior practicality comparison. And then in this video, we're going to be driving them back to back. So we're going to be taking the Miata first and then comparing it to the 350z. Literally everything you can imagine, from turning radius, acceleration, braking, sound at speed while you're driving the car, visibility, seriously everything you can imagine. So stay tuned. This is going to be a good one, and we'll see you guys in a few. All right, here we are, you guys. It is the next day. As you can tell, the clouds kind of rolled in, but that's okay. We're gonna go for a drive. It's supposed to literally downpour and rain all day tomorrow, like 100% all day. So we're gonna try and go for the cruise today. We're gonna compare these cars back to back. We're gonna take the Miata right now, and then we're gonna go back and get the Z and drive the exact same road. I have a few tests I wanna do here in this parking lot, like the turning radius, just real quick, and then we're gonna head on that way and go for a little cruise. So this thing's just so cool. I love how the red pops in this cloud coverage. So let's go for a drive. All 90s glory. As you guys can see, I got my medium strawberry Dr. Pepper, and these cup holders aren't very good, so what we can do is put it here. I mean, seriously, every Miata owner knows that this is like the second best cup holder. I mean, it might even be the best cup holder. This thing is so much fun, you guys. Boom. I mean, for 30 years old, can you even beat it? Cannot forget the pop-up headlights. Oh yes. So while we're sitting here in this parking spot, I'm actually gonna back it into this very first parking spot here, and then I'm gonna turn the wheel all the way to the left, and we're gonna count how many parking spots over, and that's gonna be our turning radius test, okay? I'm gonna get right on the line here. All right, right on the line. Very first parking spot. Turn it. See, the hard thing is no power steering, and we're off. And there we are. Turn it back. I'm gonna back it up just to kind of get an idea. All right, let's go check it out. We were right on this line right here, and we turned as hard as we could, and we got honestly just inside 2 full parking spaces for a full U-turn. So as you can tell, you're probably going to be able to do most turns. Most U-turns on most roads are going to be possible in this Miata. So we're going to get the Z later, and we're going to do this exact same test with the Z. It might surprise us, you know, it might surprise us. So this is my favorite part. Going for a drive. Honestly, this thing is the best on cloudy days. We got the heat on right now, and for some reason, this 30-year-old car, the smell of the heat it creates, like just the smell of being in this cabin, I mean, it smells like an old school car, and that is exactly what you want when you buy a Miata. And I think it's seriously one of the best parts about this car is just how 90s it feels. And obviously, when you buy this car, you buy it partially because it can handle amazingly on these back roads, but then also it's just like the Japanese culture from the 90s, and just everything from that era is just so awesome, and this captures it perfectly. And downshift as we go up this hill right here. I mean it climbs, no problem. Big truck, big truck. Second gear pull, uphill. Oh yeah, ready? I'm gonna take this at 45 miles an hour. Flat out. I mean, that right there. I have no words, you guys. That's why people buy these cars. Honestly, in the Z, in second gear, we would be going way too fast for that road, and like that has its perks, of course. Like having that speed is amazing, but there's something about just being able to be in the higher RPM without just going so fast you don't have time to brake. And obviously the brakes in this car are not going to be the best, but they do a pretty good job. Oh yes. this hill. Flat out. Oh yes. I mean, we're not going fast whatsoever, but it's just the sensation of being able to floor this car in any gear. Oh yes. The trash truck, you guys. We caught up to him. Swooping it, swooping it. Oh shit. Let's rip back down this canyon real quick. Mind you, this Miata is completely stock. Besides this steering wheel and this shift knob right here, the suspension is completely stock. So it feels great to be able to take these corners at like 45, 50 miles an hour. I have complete confidence in it too. It's not like, you know, I don't know what it is, but this car just feels very predictable. Like I could not do that in the Z. All right, so I'm gonna floor it from right here. Okay, we're gonna just see how the acceleration test is. Obviously it's a 1991 Mazda Miata, so we're gonna turn the heat off so we have all power. I'm not sure if heat takes any power, but just in case, we're gonna lower the headlights for maximum aerodynamics. And oh, that was bad. My drink. So, not too bad, honestly. Look at this, is the best cup holder ever. We're good. We were taking those canyons back there at like insane speeds. I mean, we're not going fast whatsoever, but let's go. That shift wasn't clean. 55 and 60. I'm gonna keep going. I'm keeping going. Oh yeah, this thing is a blast. If you were out here on these canyon roads, this is seriously on the top 5 cars that you would probably want. And it handles so well. The way it feels like it just sticks to the ground when you're taking corners is just, I feel like it's unlike anything I've ever driven. This car weighs 2,100 pounds, which seriously is nothing. That's like half of the weight of a normal car. Here we are at a stop sign. We're going to floor it and get a 0 to 60 here. Cheers, let's get it. Not very good at this, so. 50, 60, we're going, we're still going, 80, we're still going. All right, so there you have it, 0 to 60 in a Miata. Not the fastest whatsoever, but it doesn't feel the slowest, I'm not gonna lie. You definitely feel that, the way the front end dives down and the way the back is just right here. You really get a sense of like, this thing feels like a go-kart. It doesn't feel like a normal car, so it feels faster. Like, I don't know how to explain it. But one thing I will say, compared to the 350Z, the road noise in here, like the ambient just road noise is unbelievable. It's definitely to do with the soft top, and also if it was a hot day, I mean, we'd be cooking in here because the soft top is black and nobody talks about it, but these convertible tops radiate way too much heat. Those are my only complaints, really. It's just super loud in here. Even if you're talking to someone, you're like yelling. Like right now, I feel like I'm yelling. That's because I can barely even hear myself. They have a hard top for it, but I've never been in a hard top Miata, and I'm sure it's a lot quieter. Maybe we'll have to get one someday just to test it out, but that's probably my only complaint. As far as drivability goes, I mean, this thing is pretty awesome. I don't think you can go wrong. If you're looking for a weekend car, these things in good condition are a great option. Like, there's some rust buckets out there, I'm not gonna lie, but if you can find a good condition Mazda Miata that hasn't just been like drifted through the dirt, they've been completely taken apart and put back together the wrong way, and if you can find a good example of one, it's gonna be an amazing car to own, and I highly recommend it, honestly. So we're gonna go get the Z right now. We're gonna do this exact same cruise, basically retrace our exact steps that we just took, and compare how it is to this car. Now, of course, the Z has a lot more power, so you'd think it would be a little bit more fun, but we're gonna go get it and we're gonna test it out right now. So we'll see you in a few seconds. All right, here we are. Vehicle number 2, we got the Nissan 350Z, my 2006 Nissan 350Z out here in this bright red as well. Man, this thing looks so cool in the cloudy weather. I just can't get enough of it, honestly. Jeez, I gotta like stare at this thing for a second. It's even more fun to drive, which is pretty insane. This is like art on wheels, in my opinion. This is like, compared to the Miata, this kind of feels like my Lamborghini, if that makes any sense. The Miata, it's like, kind of like a go-kart. This thing, it's kind of, we'll talk about it in a little bit. Let's go for a drive. All right. fuel pump. All right, guys, here we are in the 350Z. We're gonna do the turning radius test just like we did in the Miata because I'm kind of curious. I actually haven't tested this. I'm gonna let you in on a secret, kind of a little spoiler here. The 350Z's turning radius is nowhere near as good as the Miata's, but it's not that bad. So we'll forward a little. We're gonna turn all the way. And this thing has power steering, so it's not too hard. We're gonna crank it all the way. There, oh man. We're gonna back it up a little bit and straighten it out. We're gonna eyeball this. I mean, realistically, so the Miata was, I would say it was like right here, right? Just inside the line, and we were on that line right there. So just a little bit more than 2 full parking spots to turn. Some specific streets, I actually have a hard time making U-turns on. It's kind of hard to drive on really narrow roads. So other than that though, I mean, no complaints really. And that's one thing you don't get with the Miata is just that sound. So like 2 years ago, I actually took the muffler off of the Miata and we had a very similar exhaust setup. It was a muffler delete on there. We have a muffler delete on this thing right now. And I'm not gonna lie, this thing, for some reason, those extra 2 cylinders and the 3.5 liters, it's just, it has such a deeper sound. And the Miata, when it had its muffler delete, it sounded like a chainsaw. I'll put a little clip right here, but it was ear splitting. I mean, I thought it sounded pretty cool, but it was not very popular amongst the community, so I eventually got pulled over for that. But this thing though, drop it down to second. Takes these canyons no problem, obviously. You can definitely feel it weighs quite a bit heavier than the Miata. The Miata comes in at about 2,100 pounds. This thing is right around 3,200 or 3,300 pounds, so an extra 1,000 pounds of weight. Realistically, it's not too bad. Oh, we got some dirt. Can we break the wheels loose? Ready? Oh, easy, easy. Can't do that in the Miata. Drop it to second here. It's starting to sprinkle a little bit, you guys. You gotta be a little careful. But as you can tell, the 350Z handles these canyons just as good as the Miata does. I've never driven a stock 350Z, but I'm assuming it handles pretty good. The extra weight is definitely something you have to think about, and when you're coming into corners, you definitely have to brake a little bit sooner than you probably normally would with, you know, the Miata, of course. But with this thing being lowered, it definitely helps a lot. Kind of like what we were talking about with the Miata. It's almost so fast that you can't get it through the gears. Like, even going down this hill right now in the Miata, we'd be in like 4th pinned the whole way down. But because the Z is, I feel like, such a bigger car and it weighs a lot more, so it's a lot harder to slow down, obviously, when it's going a lot faster. The brakes are definitely better in this car than the Miata, but it's just a lot more vehicle traveling at high speed, so it's a little sketchier. Plus, I will admit, the Miata suspension is just softer than this car, and this thing, you can feel seriously every single bump and crack in the road, which is awesome. You know, I feel like if you're putting some really tight suspension on the car, that's kind of what you're going for. You know, you kind of want it to be sporty in a way to where you feel all of that. We saw that trash truck. Personally, I mean, so far so good. Like, if you were to ask me to take this exact road in the Miata or the 350Z, it would be such a toss-up because obviously this thing is faster. I don't know how to explain it, but you can definitely drive the Miata around this road faster. I think partially that is because of my suspension that's on this car. Because it's so stiff, I can't take some of these corners as fast, which is ironic. Obviously, on like a track where there's no bumps and no cracks or anything, this car would probably outperform that Miata any day of the week. But out here in the canyons, on just regular like county maintained roads, just like these ones, you definitely have to know the road. So, all right guys, so we're gonna do a little 0 to 60 test. Obviously, you know, it's a turn right there, so I'm not gonna go too fast, but. And 60. So I mean, way faster than the Miata. I'm gonna say like 4.5 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. I think it's faster than 5 seconds, honestly. But the Miata's lighter. They're two completely different cars, honestly. I have seen a lot of comments, people asking me why I'm comparing these two cars. Obviously, I own these two cars, so I'm gonna compare these two cars. But if you're looking for a sports car or a fun car, these cars are in the same price range. So it's like, you're gonna see these two cars when you're looking around, so. Like, if you want to get up to the speed, this thing will get up to speed. Maybe one of these days we'll do a video where we go out into like, we find a really windy road and we time it. And we do a time attack where I drive this car as fast as I can on that road. And then we drive the Miata on that same road. I think it would be pretty cool to time them both to see where we are at what times and what car is faster. I mean, this car seems like it would be a lot faster, but that Miata, being so light, you can take the corners probably twice as fast. So you make up a lot of time in those corners. One thing I do want to mention is, like, if I roll these windows up and we're cruising, I'm gonna get up to a little faster here. So like 60 miles an hour, and put it in sixth. I mean, I could easily have a conversation with this person right here. So third gear, on the throttle, it would be a little hard to talk to someone. But off the throttle, I mean, you could definitely talk to somebody, have a normal conversation, listen to your music. The Miata at speed is definitely a little harder to drive and just to be comfortable in. The road noise in here, like the ambient just road noise, is unbelievable. I mean, when you're stopped and you got the heat on and you're kind of like eating a meal or something, the Miata is vibes central. Like, it is where you want to be. The smell of the old 90s car. This car is going to be a lot more like luxurious than a Miata. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I like to call this car my Lamborghini just because the Miata feels like my Miata, you know. It's just like my fun go-kart car that I can go whip around the canyons, pretty much zip around town in. And then this car, I can do similar things, like I can zip around town and all that, but I feel like this car with the Bluetooth connection and the AC that works really well and the heat, it's quiet in here, is unbelievable. Obviously the ride is definitely not as smooth as the Miata, but it just feels sportier. It just feels more modern in here. I don't know what else to say. It's just, I mean, it's 15 years newer, you guys. Like, that's basically it. So and then it does that. Just from owning these two cars, I will forever love these two cars. Jeez, man, this thing pulls so hard when it's cold outside. Like, it's 52 degrees and this thing loves it. Like, I'm not even joking with you when I say it pulls twice as hard as it does when it's like 95 degrees outside. So great. Go into a lot more detail as we drive the Miata around more and we drive this car around more. I was thinking maybe I'll do a video where we really go deep into the specifications of the numbers. Obviously, I'm just talking to you guys and giving you my thoughts and opinions on these two cars. So let me know what you guys think. Do you want me to go more in depth? I'm definitely going to be driving the Miata around with the POV camera on a lot more now that we've introduced it to the channel once again. There's something so amazing about that Mazda Miata. And I promise you, it is just as amazing as everything this 350Z has to offer. Those cars both hold the same exact value in my mind, and I do not think I could sell either of those cars anytime soon, or ever really. I think I'm gonna own both of these cars until the end. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Drop a thumbs up if you did. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet and you enjoyed this little series. We got a whole bunch more videos in the works. I'm super excited to get them posted for you. Thank you again for joining us and watching today's video. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.